Tonight, fears the coastline on Yorke Peninsula is getting too close to residents' homes. And celebrating 90 years in the sky, the Flying Doctor begins a celebratory tour around the region.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Moonta Bay residents are sounding the alarm over the possibility of losing their homes to coastal erosion. Properties are just metres away from the cliff face, which homeowners say is inching closer to their doorsteps day after day.
Protecting Moonta Bay's iconic coastline.
Where we're standing here at the base of the cliff used to be the cliff, and what we're seeing is over 150 odd years we've seen the cliff move back probably somewhere between 10 and 30 metres.
The problem's so dire, in some cases the cliff face is within 10 metres of some residents' front yards. Council's vowing to help protect the homes, but says the seawall will be built on the property owner's land, leaving residents liable for any complications.
The cliff face has moved back that far that there's no real land for them to build it on anymore, so we've transferred some community land to the residents.
Who would be responsible? Where does the cost lie in building that, and certainly what about the implications for maintenance?
Local resident Diana Walter is calling for more research and answers, saying erosion is already noticeable near other seawalls built in recent years by residents, with help from council.
Areas to the north of those structures are starting to see degradation already.
But the process is currently stuck at a standstill.
Their homes are at risk, and really we need the state government, who have been involved in this process right from the start, to look at this and see how the process is letting down these residents.
If some action isn't taken, we will lose some of our coast, our cliff tops, and certainly with that there is a risk at some homes as well.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
A young boy is lucky to be alive after he was hit by a car on Main Road at Port Pirie last night. He was rushed to the local hospital where he remains in a stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries. The cause of the crash is not yet known, but police say they'll be conducting a full investigation into the incident. New Liberal Senator Lucy Gichuhi says Whyalla should consider becoming a hub for aged care as part of its efforts to diversify its economy. Her comments came as she paid the city a visit, which she revealed is a place that's very special to her.
Lucy Gichuhi may not have ever lived in Whyalla, but a part of her will always call it home.
I consider Whyalla my second home. This is where I bought my first investment property, so I'm really attached to this town.
The senator was in town last night speaking at an enterprising women's function. She's taken a keen interest in the city's future from afar, saying it's got the infrastructure to expand its population and economy.
One time it held up to 50,000 people, so all that infrastructure is here. The strategy is to bring people over here.
And she believes aged care could be the silver bullet. With a local university and an ageing population, she's encouraging local leaders to make this area a hub for the industry. She says many people in her native Kenya are looking to train in Australia to our national standards.
And one of the issues they said is we have so many young people who would like to train in aged care. I would like to get involved in exploring that area.
Senator Gichuhi is also encouraging country women to take on leadership roles in their community and help determine their future direction.
We have the capacity and the ability to lead like anybody else, and that's all we need to get involved.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
South Australian police are out in force across the region for Operation Return to School. The statewide blitz highlights the need to get children safely to school and to remain cautious around school areas.
As South Australian students return to school, local police will be focusing attention on those behind the wheel. They want to make sure parents are making the journey from their homes to the schoolyard a safe one.
With the Return to School operation, South Australian Police were just looking at to remind the drivers at the increased amount of children and younger population that are around the schools at that time.
Their focus is on factors both inside,
ensure they're restrained in their seats properly,
and outside of vehicles.
Their behaviour is a little bit less predictable to ours, so it puts them in a higher higher risk of being involved in the traffic collisions around the school zones at that time.
They say many incidents stem from a lack of concentration from drivers in these vital zones.
We do become a little bit complacent, so just to ensure that we're driving to the road conditions at the time.
Police are praising Port Augusta drivers for no incidents yesterday, but they don't want complacency, extending their focus throughout the school calendar, urging drivers to remain vigilant and aware around school pick-up and drop-off times.
There's increased traffic from, Monday to Friday with these zones, so something we're always definitely going to be aware of.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
The Royal Flying Doctor Service is a vital part of the survival of rural and regional patients, and this month it's celebrating 90 years of service. Celebrations got underway at the Port Lincoln Airport today, where a number of volunteers were recognised for their support.
Celebrating almost a century of providing the finest care to the furthest corner.
But how did we get to celebrate 90 years? Well, we can only do it with the support of, obviously, government funders, and we can only do it with the support of communities. And that's where you come into vote.
That support from the Port Lincoln community today got a whole lot bigger, the service receiving a $50,000 donation.
If you're in need, we're your friend in need. And we can only do that because of your contributions, because of your commitment.
A lot of the fundraising efforts are thanks to long-serving community members who were awarded for their efforts.
I have thoroughly enjoyed my 25 into the 26th year now, and very appreciative of it, and for such a fantastic organisation.
One Eyre Peninsula resident is proud to call himself a volunteer, with 3 generations of his family requiring support from the service at some point.
In 1999, my youngest son had a motorcycle accident up in Western New South Wales at Packsaddle, and the first message we got was that he was being flown to Adelaide on the Flying Doctor, of course, but he wasn't expected to make it, and the long and the short of it was he survived.
Today in Port Lincoln is the first stop on a regional tour remembering the 90 years of service. The celebrations will continue in Kadina, Renmark, Naracoorte, Whyalla and Jamestown later this week. Casey Treloar, Southern Cross News.
In the news ahead, construction begins on Broken Hill's new YMCA facility. That's next. Well, tomorrow marks World Tuna Day and Port Lincoln is looking to celebrate its place in the industry. The Fresh Fish Place and the Tacoma Preservation Society have teamed up to show off what makes the sustainable industry so vital to the region. Tuna cutting demonstrations will be held to show crowds how to prepare their gourmet plate of sashimi. And of course, there'll be plenty of chances throughout the day to taste the delicious local delicacy. Students from a local primary school have been treated to a hands-on investigation into one of the region's newest renewable energy projects. The group focused on Solar Reserve, giving students the chance to pitch their own ideas on how to solve some problems at the site.
A modern research project through the eyes of the region's young students.
We wanted to look at a way to engage the students in their learning, and what better way to engage them than looking at something that's happening in their local community.
The Stirling North primary class conducted a term-long project into renewable and non-renewable energy projects. Solar Reserve was invited to speak to the Year 3-4 class, educating them about its newfound solar energy site. It also gave students some homework.
They left us problems that they might face, such as how are we going to clean the mirrors, how are we going to keep the dust down, how are we going to build the tower.
Blueprints and presentations were thrown out the door as students chose pipe cleaners and cardboard to illustrate solutions to some of the site's problems.
They were really creative ideas.
Like, you'll have mini escalators that people go on, and they'll go there and use the pressure hose to clean off the mirrors.
Planting lots of natural plants around to keep the dust down.
The class also looked at the closure of the Port Augusta Power Station, and they have some ideas and wisdom that spans far beyond their years.
Well, since all the people lost their job at the power station when it was knocked down, then they might need another job, and so they can get their job at the solar farm.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Construction has commenced on the new YMCA Wellness Centre in Broken Hill. Hutchinson Builders will be responsible for shaping the multi-million-dollar complex, with demolition of the old facility now well underway.
The YMCA building on Chloride Street is officially a site under construction.
We had 5 builders submit their interest for the project.
After an extensive tender process, Hutchinson Builders has been awarded the contract to construct the $3.9 million integrated wellness centre. Management says the company has a proven track record of quality construction. It's already constructing the new health centre on Crystal Street.
It's great that they're already in Broken Hill and they've indicated to us that they'll transition quite seamlessly from the Crystal Street development to us. It means that they've already got contractors and subcontractors engaged on the ground, so the transition should be well and truly seamless.
Initial demolition work has started at the site. Asbestos was being removed today.
So over the next 2 weeks, more than 300 tonnes of material will be taken off site, which effectively equates to around 1/3 of the overall footprint that's been demolished and rebuilt.
A groundbreaking ceremony will be held on Friday to mark the first stage of construction.
The project is exactly where we wanted it to be at this point in time, and we've left no stone unturned in terms of preparing the process, preparing the project and gaining relevant approvals.
The project is expected to be completed by the end of the year. At least 17 jobs will be created when the centre is reopened to the public. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Coming up, a Port Pirie teenager set to do the region proud at the Miss Universe Australia competition. That's next. The New South Wales Government says a new era for water compliance is about to start in the Murray-Darling Basin. A new watchdog has been established, targeting those who try to break regulations.
After allegations of water theft, meter tampering and illegal pumping were brought forward last year, the state government was criticised for its policing of water compliance. Off the back of an interim report from an inquiry into mismanagement, a new resources access regulator was recommended to help monitor water in the system. That recommendation is now up and running.
We have every confidence in this new regulator, and particularly with the independent board that sits above it. And I believe that that's a very important step to making sure that everyone has confidence in our system here in New South Wales.
The NRAR is expected to hit the ground running, with its first compliance mission getting underway in the next few days.
But we aren't going to stop there. We're still looking at another suite of measures for changes in water policy here in New South Wales, and we'll take those to Parliament in the near future.
The state government says anyone looking to circumvent the regulations and unlawfully use the system's water will be put on notice.
We committed to having an independent regulator off the back of Ken Matthews' report. We put the legislation through Parliament last year, and now it's up and running. Those that are doing the wrong thing, they will be found out and action will be taken.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
An 18-year-old from Port Pirie is heading to the Miss Universe Australia competition. Rutendo Chifamba is just one of 3 women to be selected to represent SA in the national final held in Melbourne later this year.
Zimbabwean born, but Port Pirie proud. Rutendo Chifamba has been named as one of South Australia's national finalists.
Be a woman of colour, to be from a small town and to be given such an incredible opportunity. It's amazing.
In a country like Australia where it's multicultural, for my daughter to be even one of the finalists nationally, it's just humbling and I feel blessed.
Australia is a diverse country and I feel as though the world should see that. There's not just one image for the ideal Australian. We all come in different shapes, different sizes, different colours, different nationalities. We've all come here.
She believes she can provide more to the world than just her looks, working on a range of initiatives to help make a difference in the lives of others.
Toy Box International, which is a really great cause, provides resources and accommodation for families who have children that have just undergone surgeries.
She says most of her support and donations for the charity have come from locals.
In a small community, you get to know each other more, and yeah, I've actually found that a lot of my support has come from my hometown.
Rutendo and her family will be travelling to Melbourne in June, where she hopes to be crowned Miss Universe Australia.
You just never know with opportunities like this. What if this is the moment and the time Australia picks the first woman of colour to represent Australia in Miss Universe?
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Turning to sport now, and Warriors have had yet another loss in Whyalla netball, going down to arch rival True Blue on Saturday. After just one loss in 2 years prior to this season, Warriors have now lost 2 on the trot. John Hunt joins us with more. John, another surprise defeat for last year's champions.
Yes, Fraser, Warriors were undermanned a fortnight ago against Kiwi, but with a few of their starting players back, they were expected to win. True Blue were coming off a comfortable victory over YCW and were keen to show the reigning premiers they'd be a force in 2018. The 53-44 victory was a stepping stone for True Blue, who are looking to assert themselves as a title contender this year. In the other match, Kiwi were never troubled in a comfortable victory over YCW, winning by a massive 36 goals. Over in Port Pirie, Blue Wren had a narrow win over Solis, and Central Risdon were too good for Celtic, winning 47-39. Down in Port Lincoln, Souths had a 5-goal win over Boston. Imperials cruised to a win over St Mary's, and Waybacks overcame Wanilla 44-40. To Northern Areas netball now, and all three winners from last week remain undefeated after round 2. Orroroo was too good for Crystal Brook. BMW had a 14-goal win over Southern Flinders, and Broughton Mundura defeated Jamestown Peterborough 46-36. To soccer now, and in the NPL, a first-half double from Chris Mara guided Northern Demons to a 2-1 win over Eastern United, while Savoy thrashed Macedonia 5-0 in the Amateur League to continue their good start to the season in 2018. And it was League Cup action in wireless soccer over the weekend. Lions had a 5-2 win over Westlands, while Croatia came from behind to thrash a lacklustre Wanderers. So that's all in sport for another week across the region. Our footy experts will be back Friday to preview all the action, and we'll be back next Monday and Tuesday with all the results.
Thanks, John. Stay with us after the break. All the local weather details with Amy. And after a sunny start to the week, what's in store for the Gulf, Amy?
Well, despite that sunshine today, the region is in for a wet and windy end to the week, Fraser. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back. Temperatures sat in the mid-20s around all centres in what was another day of mostly sunny weather around the region. Checking the satellite now, and despite that weak trough over the northwest, it is staying dry. Skies are clear elsewhere. If you're back out on the waters tomorrow, northerly winds will be quite strong and will pick up to 25 knots. Seas will reach 1.5 metres, while the sun will rise at 6:53. Sunset will be at 5:39. Once again, before we look at tomorrow's forecast, a big thanks to Riley Howell, who was up early this morning and managed to capture this shot of the lights of Port Augusta East and the Flinders Ranges. And remember, if you have a weather shot, we'd love to see it. You can share it via email at localnews@sca.com.au. Now, looking at tomorrow's weather, and although temperatures are going to remain high throughout most districts, a wet and windy change will come through in Port Lincoln, Cleve and Woodner. Going into the weekend, Port Lincoln can expect a wet and windy few days. However, showers are expected to clear by Saturday. Similar conditions in Cleve and Woodner with temperatures in the low to mid-20s. Chance of rain in Whyalla on Thursday before conditions fine up to 24 on Saturday. Port Augusta and Kadina can also expect a fine weekend with maximums in the mid-20s. Wet conditions forecast in Port Perry over the coming days. However, showers will ease by Saturday. Clare can expect a run of fine weather and into the weekend with a top of 21. Meanwhile, Broken Hill is set for a sunny weekend after cloudy skies on Thursday. So Fraser, although the Spencer Gulf is in for some wet weather, it is shaping up to be a mostly fine weekend.
Thanks, Amy, and that's the local news this Tuesday. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. We'll see you then. Good night.